Everyone, and welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I think you all know that I'm Reverend Jennifer Spear, and we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm so glad that you came to spend your morning with us this morning and with each other. And for those of you who are joining us online, welcome to our online service. And so I would like you to join me right now in reading our mission statement that's on the front of the bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. That's what we're doing actually here at Living Beyond Limits, is we are creating this sanctuary in here, this sanctuary of energy, of love and support and encouragement and kindness, and just this perfect atmosphere that enables us and allows us to discover the Spirit within us. That enables us to discover who we are as spiritual beings and to recognize that, yes, indeed, we are individualized expressions of that one presence, that one power, that one life, that one love. And what happens as we come to recognize and know that we are individuations of that we are incarnations of Spirit, then we come to recognize that all of those things that are true of Spirit must also be true of us at our essence, at our core, that the presence of love and the presence of peace and the truth of wholeness and the truth of our authentic power, those things are always present within us. What happens then is when we go out into the world and the world is not reflecting back to us, say, love or generosity or kindness or peace, we aren't so reliant on the world sharing that with us. Of course, we would prefer that. But when it's not, we're able to turn within and to bring that forward from within us and to be the presence of love or to be the presence of peace. And as we do that, we change the interactions that we're having. And because we change those interactions, we actually leave something different behind also, which changes the energy there. And because everything is connected to everything else, when we change and when we grow and when we come to the world differently, it affects the whole. And so I say thank you to each and every single one of you for walking this path, for bringing your spirit into this world in a way that is beneficial to everyone. Thank you for that. And so on platform with me this morning is our practitioner, David Conant. He's going to lead us in an evocation and do a kind of begin to settle into yourself. To find that place within you that is still, that place within you where you can touch your own divine essence. The part of yourself that is not of this world, but instead is the eternal part of your own beingness. And to just allow yourself to rest there.
Take this moment and move within. This part of the service is the time when we recognize and embrace the intelligent life principle that blesses and guides each one of us. Today, as we experience the power, the grace, and the love of the one source, which is the intelligent life principle, we know for certain that there are many ways it is manifest. It is living beyond limits. But more than that, we are a manifestation of this pure, perfect, and loving Spirit. It is present everywhere, and that includes in this service, as Reverend Jennifer, and in all of our lives, in everything we do, everywhere we go, and with everyone we meet. I bless Reverend Jennifer. I bless Rick. I bless Ray. I bless everyone here, and I bless all spiritual paths. And so it is. Good morning. My reading today is from 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. The household of God is the household of perfection. It is the secret place of the Most High. The people of this household are all divine beings. Nothing can enter the consciousness of any of these people which contradicts the unity of good. Each and every member of this household is at peace with all other members. No one is a stranger within this household. It is protected from all fear and from every sense of loss. Nothing can enter it but joy, integrity, and friendship. The same good, I realize, belongs to everyone else. I do not desire a good for myself, which is greater than the good I desire for all people. Neither do I deny myself the good I affirm for all others. In this household, the host is God, the living Spirit Almighty, and all who dwell in this household are guests of the eternal host. And so it is.
And so happy Halloween, everybody. How fun. Have you noticed that it's getting colder at night? And that the sun is coming up later and setting earlier? Yeah, and it really feels like autumn. Too, it feels like autumn, and that means we get to celebrate autumn and fall, and we get to celebrate Halloween. And so if you don't know, Halloween, the celebration of Halloween actually began 2,000 years ago. It began with the Celtics in Ireland who celebrated the end of the harvest season and then the start of the new year, for that was the beginning of their new year at that time. It was called Samhain, and it was a celebration or recognition of the division between the lighter half of the year, summer, and the darker half of the year, winter. And so Samhain, at that time, it was believed that the veil was the thinnest between this world and the other world, between this world and the beyond. And so it was believed also that family ancestors could pierce that veil. So family ancestors were honored and they were invited home, and harmful spirits were warded off. It was believed that at that time of the year, because that veil was thinnest, that people could actually commune with the dead, that they could commune more easily than at any other time of the year. And so right around the corner, we have Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas after this. Exactly. And Thanksgiving and Christmas are really time that we spend with our families and with those people that are closest to our hearts that we love the most. But Halloween isn't about family. Halloween is about community. You know, the parks are having carnivals right now, and neighbors are passing out candy to all the neighborhood kids on Halloween, and we go to parties with our friends. Ray was telling me this morning they just went to a carnival and how much fun it was. It's the Halloween carnival and community kind of things are happening this time of year. And I know in my neighborhood, when COVID began and we didn't want anybody coming up to our doors because we were afraid, the kids in my neighborhood created flyers that they put out inviting people to come and set up tables outside, and they were going to have a Halloween parade from 7 to 8 o'clock. It was so much fun. All sorts of neighbors were outside, and they were having fires in their fire pits in their front yard, and some people were drinking wine, and we went out and visited and met all sorts of neighbors we'd never met before. It was really fun. And then, of course, people are decorating their houses and their yards in scary things for the entertainment of their neighbors. And so Scott Aubrey talks about Halloween, and he says the tradition of ghosts and goblins comes from the Celtics, who believed that spirits roamed the earth for one night before winter began. To ward off their fears, people sat around huge bonfires, comforted by the glow of the fire and the warmth of one another. No apparition would get them as long as they were near the fire and near each other. When the morning arrived, they would give an ember from their fires to each family who would take them home to start new cooking fires. They literally extinguished the fires in their homes so that when they came home, they could take the ember from that sacred fire and that community fire. These fires then, from that new ember, would keep their homes warm and free from evil spirits. And so it was important to them at that time to be in community, and it's important for us today to be in community, like we are here at Living Beyond Limits. Being in community allows us to feel like we belong. It allows us to feel cared for and to feel cared about and to feel like we are supported. When we are in a community where we feel cared about and where we feel cared for, that enables us to feel safe and we feel secure, and it enables us to have a sense of coming home. We really experienced those desires, I think, during COVID when we were staying home, when we weren't going out, when we were not socializing as much, when we weren't coming together like we had been before. We really got to experience that desire, that longing to be in community. We realized how important it was to be in community, how important it was to be together. Remember, we would even meet out in people's backyards, being 8 feet apart from each other with masks on outside, but it was so important to be together and to be in community. And maybe still today, you might have some sense of isolation still, like you feel a little bit isolated. And maybe that's because of COVID, or maybe it's because of other reasons. You know, maybe it's because we are still doing social distancing. Or maybe because when you go out, you're wearing a mask and other people are wearing masks and it makes you not feel quite as connected. Or maybe it's because you're still not going indoors and eating in restaurants. But maybe there's something that's just kind of residual and hasn't entirely resolved itself yet that's making you feel a little bit not as much a part of community as what you normally feel like. And maybe those feelings are leaving you feeling a little tiny bit off balance, or a little bit lonesome, or not quite as connected. And in that, maybe there's a little bit of loss or a little bit of sadness. And so the title of my talk today is A Sacred Bonfire. And I'm talking about being in community. And I'm talking about the many gifts that there are from being in community. That in community we gain a sense of belonging. That in community we experience that warmth and that safety and that support. And that, like the Celtics, who took that ember home and built their own fire from that during Samhain, actually when we leave a community in which we feel like we belong, we take something with us when we leave also. We take a new sense of our own value from being in that community. We take a sense of, from feeling like we are at home, We somehow take a new sense of being home in our own skin when we leave that community. From being cared about by that community, we gain a new sense of our lovability, of our own goodness. And in turn, when we realize those things about ourselves, we actually become better people. We become better people out in the world. We become stronger from being in that community. We become more generous because we share with others and we are supported, and that enables us to realize how good it feels to be more generous. All of that happens just from being in community. And have you noticed even when trick-or-treaters go out, they go out in groups? You never see a kid trick-or-treating by themselves. They go out with their family or several families together or neighbors together or their friends, but they're in groups. They're in little communities when they go out trick-or-treating. And if you go to a haunted house, people go with someone else. You would never go to a haunted house by yourself. It would be way too scary. And then, as being at that haunted house, how many times they grab someone and go, "No, you go first, you go first." I've been pushed first many times going to haunted houses, but you know what? Even if you're the one that's being pushed first, you still hold on to each other. And those teenagers, when they go trick-or-treating, they do that same thing just to go to a house. "No, you go first, you go first." And they're still cohesive in this group of people. Being in community, whether it's a community of your friends or whether it's a club that you belong to, whether it's your neighbors, whether it's here being at Living Beyond Limits together, we gain a couple things. People model behaviors to us that we are then able to acquire. But what happens also is just by being in that community, we discover things about ourselves. We discover what is within us that we might not otherwise discover, like love, like kindness, like generosity, like I said, like our own goodness. We discover a lot of things within ourselves from being in community. And then when we discover that, it enables us to bring that forward. And so Colleen was telling me that she was on that Good Stuff Long Beach website where people give things away for free. And there was a man that posted on there, and he's a teacher, and he was putting a party on, a Halloween party for his students in 2 days. And he was working 2 jobs at that time, so he did not have time to go out and shop and buy a Halloween costume. He felt like he didn't really even have the time to put something together. So he posted a request for anybody that had Halloween stuff or a Halloween costume that he might wear. Well, of course, many people had all sorts of suggestions of what he could do, and he needed an extra large, so it didn't just fit for what everybody had. But all these people reached out and offered things to him. And then, after his party, he posted a picture of himself dressed up in a hippie outfit with the flowered pants and the vest and the little round glasses and an afro wig and the peace sign necklace, with this tremendous thank you to all these people who supported him and who had helped him. How fun is that? But you know what? It's being part of that group of Good Stuff Long Beach that even causes people to reach out and support and to help. If those people weren't part of that group, they probably wouldn't even offer what it is that they have. But being a part of that group helps them discover, oh yes, I have this within me also that I didn't know I even had. So when we're in community, we get that warm feeling. We get that warm and yummy feeling that's all around us when we're in community. But we also discover things within ourselves when we're in community. We discover our generosity. We discover our strength, perhaps, that we didn't know was there. We discover our intelligence from getting to collaborate with people. We discover our own goodness. We discover our own power. And in turn, then we take those qualities with us out into our lives. I think about when I first started doing meditations actually from the platform in church many, many years ago, and how terrified I was. It was long before I even became a practitioner. I was actually pretty new to church. And the minister invited me to do that. And so I started writing meditations and then delivering them from the platform. And like I said, I was terrified. And one good thing was everyone had their eyes closed. No one was looking at me. But you know what? It was those times of being able to do that and then have the love and the support of community that is actually a thing that supported me enough to even go to practitioner training and then to become a minister. Without the support and the encouragement and the love and all of that stuff from that community, I never would have become a minister. I would have been doing that other stuff that I had been doing long before I even came to church. And so how grateful I am for those gifts that I received. Because not just the support, but like I said, it enabled me to discover that I could do that. It made me discover a confidence. It made me discover that I actually had something to share and something to give. You know, it's kind of like being in your community. It's kind of like a rechargeable flashlight. You know, you plug in so you get filled back up. We come here and we plug in so that we get recharged, so that we can remember who we are. And then we can go out into the world and shine that light that we've discovered. From being recharged, we have that light to carry out into the world. And so, do you like all the scary Halloween decorations there are? And have you noticed how many more of them are this year than ever before? My neighborhood is filled with them. And have you seen the coven of witches across the street on the corner? It's really cool. It's so cool. There are ghouls and skeletons and graveyards and spiders and bats and witches. And of course, bloody corpses and dismembered bodies. You know, all of that stuff is meant to scare us. But what happens, actually, first I'll say, it's meant to scare us, but you know, there's all these other scary things going on in the world, like a war in Ukraine and Putin, like new variants of COVID, and of course the crazy politics that are going on in this country. But seeing those scary Halloween decorations actually enables us to take things that are scary and to put them in a manageable way, to put them in a manageable context and in a playful context. And then we can look at those things that seem scary, a dead body hanging or something, and we can actually look that stuff that scares us in the face, and we know that we can conquer that fear. We know that those things don't have power over us. And in turn, it helps us discover this own inner security that we have. It helps us discover that we have a power within us that is greater than what seems scary out there. And so as we gain mastery over those scary Halloween things, it helps us discover that we always have that power inside of us. It helps us discover our own courage and our own strength and our own fortitude. It helps us discover that we are okay even when there's scary stuff going on out there. It also helps us recognize then that when the world is crazy, that we are courageous. When the world is crazy out there, that we are strong. When the world is crazy out there, that we are okay, regardless of what's happening in the world. The truth is, you are safe all of the time. You are safe all of the time because you are an eternal being. And nothing can touch that. Nothing can harm that. Nothing can touch or harm our true self, who we truly are. Ernest Holmes said, "There's an inner something in us that belongs to the universe. We belong to God. There is that within us which will last forever. There is no other security." The truth is, we belong all the time, wherever we go. We discover that belonging in community, and then we take that belonging inside of us where we belong to ourselves. We are home in ourselves. We belong to God. We belong in this world. We belong to life. We gain that and get to grow that inside of ourselves. Ernest Holmes also said, "There is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole." That is the part of ourselves that we discover here. That's the part of ourselves that we discover by conquering those scary Halloween decorations. And so my invitation to you is to revel in community. Whatever communities you are a part of, revel in being in community. And let that sense of belonging and that sense of safety and the care be a catalyst for you to discover your own greatness, the greatness that lives inside of you. And let those spooky and chilling and horrifying aspects of Halloween remind you of your own power to overcome. Let it remind you and help you discover that deep pool of inner security that you carry with you and your own sense of well-being. Let it be a catalyst to get in touch with that so that you might walk in that sense of safety and security and being home and belonging wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And so blessings to each of you in this path, on this path of self-discovery, this path of walking this life in God, this path of walking in this life together. Blessings to all of you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so how wonderful it is to be in recognition of this presence of Spirit, that one that wraps itself around us all the time, that one whose good pleasure is to give us the kingdom and unfold itself within us and through us and all around us. How good it is to be in recognition of friends and of community and of support and of care and kindness, generosity. How good it is to be living this life in awareness of all of those things. For the truth is, we carry those things with us wherever we go. And the truth is, they are just simply representations of the presence of Spirit. But Spirit in which we belong all of the time. Spirit in which we are home all of the time. And so I recognize also that we are home in our own spirits. Home in our own highest self. Home wherever we go. And so I recognize that as we leave here today, we take that with us. This sense of comfort and peace and well-being and belonging. That is the energy that we walk with. The consciousness we live in. And how blessed we are. And so I speak this word also, not just about us, but I speak this word about this entire world, every single person. Recognizing that the presence of Spirit is right where they are also. And that it is the truth of their own wholeness and their own power, their own intelligence, wisdom, inner guidance. And that this is true also for every single world leader and politician and decision maker. That Spirit right now fills them with intelligence, with wisdom, with high sight, and with insight. That it right now is the only power, and that power is leading them and guiding them and revealing itself through them as their decisions and choices. That presence of God fills this country right now, and every space and every spot, and reveals itself as the answers that we are seeking to the questions, as the way forward, and as good. And so today we just look to that good with high expectancy, with high anticipation, and with absolute faith. And so that presence unfolds itself now. And so I release this word into that creative law of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself now, simply because it is the truth. And we have said yes to that. And so I release this word in gratitude, and I say, and so it is.
It's now time for our affirmation, which is on the white sheet. If you will join me in saying this. I revel in being in community, in belonging, in feeling safe and feeling cared for. I use my community as a catalyst to discover and bring forward my greatest and best self. And so it is.
And so I have a couple of invitations for you. One is we are having our first ever pancake breakfast fundraiser today after service. So if you need the address, you can get it from me, or you can get it from Celeste over here, actually. So we hope that you're joining us for that. It's going to be right after service. So in light of that, we're not going to do small group sharing today. You'll just get to share lots with people that you're hanging out with today for the pancake breakfast. I wanted to let you know there is no service here next week. They're going to be voting in this building. And so we've decided to give our crew a day off, and that's why Ray is clapping back there. So I invite you to take the day off and do something wonderful also. We just invite you to follow us on Facebook and to share the talks as they come out, to check in on Meetup and say that you're coming. You all know that the building's being remodeled. There are porta potties outside the door right over there. And if you want to be on our email list and you're not, if you write your email address on that piece of paper and give it to Ray, he will make sure that you get on our list. Also, we have prayer shawls. And I just wanted to tell you, I didn't know this. All those prayer shawls, they have a little tag on them, and they've been numbered. And one of the prayer shawls we gave out last week, you know, we always pray over them before we give them out. It was number 245. Is that incredible? It has been such a powerful ministry that we have done as that prayer shawl. I have heard about people speaking that haven't spoken in years when they wrap that around them. I know there are people that have asked to be buried with it when they have died. It has just been people wrapped in it just for such comfort, in that comfort of prayer. And so it's just an amazing thing. I just wanted to share that with you. So we have prayer shawls in the back. We have a ministry of prayer box. If you'd like to fill out a prayer request, we will support you during the week. And if you want to sit with a practitioner and have prayer, they are available for that also.